Hello, Stephen White, SteveArts89. Well, we had a bit of a surprise today. He-Man is back. I knew PowerCon was happening. I didn't pay much attention to it because the movie is over a year away. I think March 2021 was supposed to be Christmas this year, but it's been delayed because they just apparently can't work out how to make a He-Man movie. It's pretty simple. This has been going on for years, and I have no idea why it's that difficult. Just like with Wonder Woman, I did not have any. I could not understand why it was that difficult and took them that long to do it. So I wasn't expecting anything. And then I wake up this morning. It's Monday in Australia. And bam, Masters Universe Revelations posters everywhere. From Netflix. And it's looking pretty impressive. I'm shocked. I didn't know they were going to do anything. Now, they had been pushing a lot of classic He-Man toys lately. They re-released the kind of original toys, but with articulation, which were more, they looked more like the original toys than the last line that still were based on the original toys and looked a lot like them, but these were more re-releases with extra features basically. So that was very exciting, and they're actually not that expensive. I think they're about 25 each, and I was looking forward to getting pretty much all of them. Because I'm a He-Man fan. I mean, I have. Can we see it down there? Not really. There's Snake Mountain and Castle Grayskull, and over there I've got almost all the classic figures. I think the only one I'm missing still is Ninja, or no, Ninja doesn't have his top. I don't have that. I need to get like a complete version. But the one I don't have is Scareglow. So I've only got one figure to get, unless you count the foreign ones and Power Grayskull or those other ones. And I've got some from the 2002 series. So I'm a collector. I always loved He-Man. I've got not all the books, but I have a decent collection of He-Man stuff. And I knew PowerCon was on. Didn't expect anything coming. Totally surprised. So I'm just going through looking up all the information today. Now, it's basically, the showrunner is Kevin Smith. He's the executive producer. Now, he's a fairly reliable geek. Basically, he's been geeking out in Hollywood for the last 20, 30 years. So there's some security there that he's not some random person who's done like one comic book or something and is basically being given the keys to the castle, like which is what we've seen with a few franchises. So that's very encouraging. So yeah, they announced it on Sunday at PowerCon, and it is a sequel, not a reboot, a sequel. They're actually saying we're going to go back to Eternia, we're going to go back, we're going to continue on where it left off, where basically He-Man and Skeletor were just doing the little dance, and although Skeletor didn't appear in the last few episodes of the original He-Man series, and there was no even allusion to a conclusion to that story. So they're apparently going to have a big battle, and we may see the final confrontation of He-Man and Skeletor. That's sort of what they're hinting. And the most exciting thing, of course, is that it's being done by Powerhouse Animation, which has done a series called Castlevania, which I hadn't seen until today. I looked at some videos, and it looks gorgeous. It looks like it's basically anime style, adult, serious, beautiful, sophisticated, detailed. It looks a lot like the 2002 series, but better. Because that was great, but it still was a little animated. It didn't look as sophisticated as the animation for Castlevania, although that may just be because it's kind of a dark themed show and has a dark palette and looks a little more cinematic, but it looks really amazing, and I'm really inspired by that because we all know what happened with I'll try and say it, She-Ra. I haven't talked about She-Ra yet because I was a huge fan of She-Ra as well. I loved She-Ra. I had the She-Ra dolls as well. I still have not all of them. I have a bunch of them. I don't actually have all of them. And I've got the TV series and everything. And I usually, if I watch He-Man, I watch She-Ra. I mean, they go together. They are, brother and sister. And DreamWorks bought the rights for that, and they just hired, what was her name? Noel Stevenson, who basically had a bit of a reputation apparently, so some people were a bit scared when they found out she was involved. And she just said, I'm going to do my version of She-Ra for the woke era, and I'm going to just, yeah. I haven't heard or seen anything good about it. I haven't watched it, so I can't judge it. I haven't done any videos about it. I haven't done any reviews, because I'm not going to totally judge it if I haven't seen it, but I have heard nothing good. It looks really kiddie and really woke, and you know, they basically made Shira look like a boy because she can't look like a girl, because that's sexualizing girls, and that's wrong. When I don't think a woman's sexuality is anything to be hidden or covered or ashamed of. I think girls should have positive representations of females and femininity. I just, it's bizarre to me whenever they do this. We're for women, but we're going to make women just like men, because the only way they can be worthy is to be like men. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It seemed to go down that vein, and I just couldn't deal with it. So I haven't looked at it. I don't know if it's that bad, so I'm not saying it is. I haven't seen it. I'm going to make myself watch it in the next few days so I can actually have an informed opinion instead of just what could just be haters. I might just be regurgitating their crap, but the people I've been listening to more, like Clownfish TV and Freeback Feeder and some of the other ones, they're the less hatey ones. So, because I've been listening to a lot of the YouTubers, and some of them have a total agenda, but they're still informed, and they're just on one side. And then you have the other people on the other side, and they have their own agenda. And then you sort of have some people who just make up their own insanity, and you just sort of wonder how anyone can listen to them and not realize they're just totally insane. There's only a few of them, but for the most part, people just sort of have their narrative with something they're looking at, and they generally stick to the facts and stick to the truth and what's happening. They just have an opinion of it as opposed to being objective, which you really kind of should be in one sense if you're going to review TV shows and movies and stuff. I'm going on. So under different management is what I'm hearing. Mattel, they basically realized they made a mistake with giving DreamWorks so much control, because DreamWorks just did their own thing. And the other thing they did that pissed me off was they race swapped Bo. So instead of a hot redheaded guy, he's like a black teenager. And this is something that's happened with The Little Mermaid and a lot of other characters who I wish I could think of, Mary Jane. Basically, they've said, okay, we need to be woke, we need more diversity, we need to put a black person here. Who can we get rid of or replace? Oh, let's just get rid of the redhead, because not the blonde, not the brunette, but the redhead, because apparently they are the redheaded stepchildren, literally. So we'll just get rid of them, replace them with a black person, then we're woke. Instead of creating a black character, or perhaps replacing one of the more prominent, white, non-mutant white people with blonde or brunette hair. I love redheads. I actually think they're hot. I don't like white people, and I do not like blondes. So, yeah, I'm for the gingers. Which is a new thing. I don't know where that came from, but suddenly I'm realizing, shit, they are hot. What the hell? Don't like blondes. At all. And I hate that. I think it's because I grew up being a pale brunette, in Australia, where it was all about the blonde bronze Aussie, and I never was that, and I always was just shit on for not being as good as like those. I always, like, there was this kid in my school, and he was like the perfect sporty blonde bronze kid, rich family, and it's like, I swear to God, I have school photos where we're next to each other. It's like they just wanted contrast in the photo. Let's just put the ugliest, palest, skinniest, dorkiest kid next to the hottest, blondest, tannest, sportiest. I'm not bitter. As you can see, I'm not bitter. So, and I'm so many rants I could go off on. I need to stop. But Mattel Television is handling it. And Rob David, who is the VP of Mattel TV, has actually written a He-Man comic. It's called Attorney of War. I haven't seen it. I haven't read it. There's another, because they've done a few series, I think through DC, of He-Man in the last 10-15 years, and I bought at least 2 volumes, and I've read a few issues. It looks good. I just haven't had the time to like commit to like a He-Man weekend and read the comics, and I like to sort of do themes and I like to go into something for a day or 2 or 3 if I can get a couple of days strung together, rather than try and read a comic at a time or watch an episode at a time. I sort of was marathoning and binging before anyone else was, so I've always sort of tried to do that. So that's very promising. Someone who actually has worked on He-Man. And because there was no conclusion to the 80s show, there was no conclusion to the 2002 show. They were supposed to bring She-Ra on in, I think, the next season, which I think was the third season. I think they only got two, or if they got three, it was going to be the fourth season. And they had design. She looked awesome. Didn't happen. They were going to put She-Ra in the Dolph Lundgren movie, but then they said, oh, apparently we can only have one woman, and they picked Teela over She-Ra. And I'm like, gee, can we not just have two women in the cast? But apparently that was too much for the 80s. Very disappointing. I just found that out recently. I hear that's true. I haven't actually researched that one myself. It's very easy for people to say stuff and repeat rumors, and people take it as authority. I gotta stop, watch myself with that. But yeah, that's all we've got though. Basically, DreamWorks is not involved because a lot of fans have there's been a big backlash against the new She-Ra show, and there's no numbers to see how it's doing. They did a toy line, and they've been accused of basically just taking other toys are currently available and reworking them, that they're not original designs, and it doesn't look good. And if it looked good, look, I'm gay, I'm for diversity. I've worshipped women my whole life. I worship Madonna and Cher as goddesses, as they should be. I'm not one of these basement dwelling, beard neck, misogynistic, just, there is this stereotype of sci-fi fans and genre fans and comic fans who sort of spent their years, instead of developing human relations and being able to communicate with human beings, they just spent their life down in the basement, reading comics, and they can't relate to women, and that's why they hate them, so they're misogynist. There's this sort of idea of sci-fi fans, and whenever anyone criticizes a sci-fi or fantasy show, they're a basement dwelling, that whole stereotype gets dragged out and wheeled out. I'm not one of those people. I'm definitely not. I may be a white male, but that doesn't mean I don't get diversity, because I am a minority, and I have been shit on by the patriarchy, so I do understand. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to jump on anything woke and say, oh, this is the best thing ever. No, if it's crap, I'm going to say it's crap. If I don't like it, I'm going to say I don't like it. Now, if I still think it's good, but I just don't like it, I'll say that as well. Because I'm trying to stay in the centre and beyond. Because I sort of started Social Justice Warrior, and then I went a little bit hater for a bit with Star Trek Discovery. That sort of turned me to the dark side. But then I sort of pulled out of it and went, no, there's two sides. This thing is very polar, and I want to stay in the middle, be objective, and be informed, and not just listen to the videos and listen to the people that tell me what I want to hear. Because then it's basically like taking a Trump approach to like any other subject, where it's just, no. So that's it. I don't think there's anything else. We basically are just waiting with bated breath, because we know that the Powerhouse Animation team do great work. We know Kevin Smith knows the genre. We know that what we want. We wanted the He-Man series to continue, and when they brought it back, we wanted it to continue on, or at least have its own structure where it started and had a middle and an end, and it didn't just sort of come and tease us and then die and leave us wanting more like the original series did. So yeah, I guess it's just a waiting game now, and everyone's really excited, and it's a matter of let's just wait for the first preview, and I hope it looks good, and hope that what they're promising is what they actually deliver, because it isn't always. And the good thing about this is She-Ra is going to finish soon. I don't see how it can keep going. They normally don't do a lot of seasons of shows on Netflix, and this one isn't a breakout hit. No one I know is talking about it or caring about it. I've heard nothing good. I have one friend who posted one comment on Facebook I noticed, and I said, oh, I guess you didn't see the original She-Ra then, because he liked the new one. He said, yeah, I watched it, and I'm like, I didn't even engage, because I couldn't quite understand how you can like that and like that, because they are so different. It may be good in its own right as like a girly sort of teen, and that's the thing that I find so offensive. They're all, we want strong women characters, we want diversity, we're woke, we want women to be strong, and then they create these girly, silly little inconsequential characters or shows where there's no real stakes involved, there's no saving the world. It's just, pajama parties and horsies and just costume parties and just like I've seen nothing about the show that's any gravitas, nothing about it that seems adult or sophisticated or interesting. But I still haven't seen the actual show, so I have to watch it and make sure it is what it seems to be. But I'm going to leave it there. I've talked for 15 minutes, way longer than I planned to, because I just was going to talk about the new series that's been announced. But since I've never done any videos about He-Man or the latest She-Ra thing, I just sort of got sidetracked. So sorry if you stuck with me for the whole thing. I apologise for not just having a full 15 minutes of information on the new series, but no one has that, because there's nothing. There's just Kevin Smith walked out and said, hey, new series, basic information, we're going to continue on, it's going to be great, thank you, Mattel, for letting me do this. And then everyone just started analysing that, because that's all we got. But we're going to have a lot more He-Man soon, thank fuck for that. So thanks for listening. Please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, maybe even share. Thanks, bye.